This piece is kind of an unusual piece. I was experimenting with suggesting different dimensions by tearing a canvas that's over another canvas that had another painting on it. And for some reason, I associate it with the Great Plains in my experience out in Oklahoma, but I also associate it with the Indians. You know, I lived for those years on those reservations, but not the Central Plains reservations. They were in New Mexico, the Zuni and the Navajo. But there's great differences, but there's all similarities in those Native American perspectives. And this, of course, is this whole issue of innocence and how we lost who told us that we're naked? How did we become self-conscious of our nakedness? How did we lose our innocence? How did we regain it? And this one, it's sort of Trauma Canyon, but it also looks like an eagle descending, or the Holy Spirit, doing something, either bringing peace or tearing apart whatever is going on down there. Or this is just Trauma Canyon, my experience there. But it's not quite finished as a piece. I think it needs a yellow, just like that, just the right mark and gesture there of that yellow. I think would finish it up nicely. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to try it. This is Jerome's painting, The Idea of Universal Sacrifice.
Jerome's painting.
Well, we don't want to go any further. He might be embarrassed that he modeled for it when he was young. And now he's a very respectable old man. And I don't want to embarrass him. And this is the Sacred Bundle, more of that Native American, but also, I mean, when it was universal, it wasn't just Native American. When we all used to walk around instead of driving around and riding around on things. And it was a walking stick, and then there was sort of like the symbol of power, of the one's staff and all of that. But that staff has been broken up, but then that very broken up was turned into a medicine bundle. And again, the suggestion of different dimensions, the sculptural qualities on the painting. This belongs to that series of 5 upstairs that we were talking about that I painted while I was doing those murals, of which that was the central piece, that figure over there, the large naked man. But this is, I did it, and it took me months to realize, to remember that I had done it. And that, I mean, I don't know what happened, but it's when I had that great health crisis in 1999. This started out as a painting by Alice Beamish. But of the ones that she left me, it was never finished, and so I tried to finish it, but it didn't finish easily. I could see why she had trouble with it, and so I've taken it to this point. Sometimes I think it's still not finished. This one, of course, is the Blessed Mother, but with the influence from that area. If you remember the women from Crete. When Crete was a big civilization, the women were bare-breasted, and the men, some of the better-looking men, they wouldn't wear much either. You see those pictures of the bull jumpers, those athletes. Rather than fighting the bull, they would do athletic things over the bulls. And so in here,
how about this one?
Well, now
That's a Trauma Canyon.
That is definitely a Trauma Canyon product. Some people think of it as as a tree, like the tree of life or something. And but I was just painting the great exuberance of life and creativity and ejaculating energy and joy and those moments of delight, as ecstatic consciousness is not just for the masters like the shamans. Their primary master is the master of be a master of states of consciousness, so masters of ecstasy, but not just in the sense of that you had to be a specialist like a shaman, but that the whole of consciousness is rises out of ecstatic consciousness rather than the other way around. The whole biosphere depends on ecstatic consciousness. I mean, people, what are people, not just people, but all biological creatures are driven to reproduce the species. And they're not driven by negative forces, they're driven by this positive urge for this ecstatic moment. And some die right afterwards, you know. Some of us wish we had died right afterwards, but then making that our last moment. But it's God's creation, and this is how God has done it. Now, there might be lots of theologies around it, but I think that's a pretty positive reflection upon biological reality in which we all participate. Otherwise, we're just stones and geology. So that's what that was. But some people think of it as a tree. And I also think of it, I have a friend who has, his spirit animal was this little poisonous octopus. You remember? and for some reason, this has always suggested that to me, because it's like almost like an eye here. And there's kind of this aquifer. Anyway, it started out to be a commentary on ecstasy as the basis of biological realization. And then there's sort of references to plants and stuff and the color schemes. I'm not sure it's finished. Hayden thinks it is. Do you? I've never been quite sure about it. Sometimes I'm very impressed with it, and sometimes I'd like to do something else. I'm not sure. Same with this one. You remember this used to be behind the Blessed Sacrament in the Newman Chapel. You remember that?
No. Did you substantially modify this one since then? No?
Done anything to it. You don't remember?
Wow, I don't. Why don't I remember that?
It would be just behind, I had that brass table, and then I had the Blessed Sacrament in that redwood burl, in a little dish in the redwood burl, and there was a candle there, and this was the painting behind it. Because it's also a mandalic, the ideas of the circles, but those circles are all circles of energy. It's not just the sacred reference or something, but there's supposed to be real energy involved. Energies that can withstand the final destruction of the end of time. And so then this one deals with sort of an excess perhaps of yin for a man, but not for a woman, obviously, but the dark qualities. And also my friend, the Black Widow. Amazing little creature that she is. Terrifies me. But nonetheless, again, the sticks and suggestive references to all of that. Whereas the other side, I think, is another mother-son piece. And then this was 1986, 87, 88, in there somewhere, of magic, of sex magic and mysticism and spirituality, all coming together at this moment of ecstatic exuberance. But for a purpose, for a divine purpose, for a positive purpose, for a salvific reasons, a salvific purpose in the sense of the saving the world. And this is the other side of that black piece that becomes more anthropomorphic. And where instead of geometric embellishments on these big amorphic spaces, these are human forms, which is what happened to me when I came into the monastic circles, and icons had such a big effect on me. And these paintings like this are just a thematic issue. And freeways bisect the sacred. Also, when I was doing that 86, 87, I guess, 87, 88, when I was at Artist in Residence in Long Beach. And this one as well, the Ice Age, I think this is 20,000 years. And then there's another one somewhere that's 30,000 years. And then there's one when it finally breaks, 10,000 years ago. It's in the other room. There's three of them. And the Great Old Man, it comes from a vision I had once.
How old is that one? I don't know that I've seen that one before.
The vision happened in 1975, I think, 76. And this painting happened in maybe 82, 83. The Great Old Man. It's one of Jung's archetypal figures.